Today, we are embarking on a journey through time, exploring the history of a product that's practically a Canadian cultural touchstone, Buckley's mixture. Yep, that's right, Buckley's the cough syrup, the one that tastes like, well, just let's say it's an experience. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on our captivating Canadian content. Now, let's get into it. William Knapp Buckley, known as WK, the man who gifted this potent potion to the world. WK was born in Wallace, Nova Scotia on September 25, 1889, the youngest of three children born to Lillian and Thomas Buckley. The Buckley family would later relocate to Sydney, Nova Scotia. Both WK and his older brother Donald became pharmacists. Around 1908, Donald Buckley purchased the Burns & Son Pharmacy from the Burns family in downtown Sydney, Nova Scotia, and WK was employed by him. WK found his passion for medicine while working with his brother, so he moved to Toronto in 1914 to attend the Ontario College of Pharmacy. He did well and was class president when he graduated the following year. Buckley worked for Eaton's before opening his own pharmacy at Church and Dundas Streets in Toronto around 1919. Now, if you know your history, you will remember that the Spanish flu was sweeping the globe at this time. 1/5 of the world's population was attacked by the deadly virus. The Spanish flu pandemic struck in 2 killer waves over 2 years, affecting millions of people worldwide and killing approximately 50 million. 50,000 deaths occurred in Canada alone, most of whom were young adults between the ages of 20 and 40. In the wake of the flu hitting Toronto, Buckley's customers sought a stronger cough suppressant than those that were readily available. Tonics, cures, and elixirs were flooding the market early in the 20th century. It was the Wild West of medicines. Over 50,000 questionable products aimed at curing every ill were flying off the shelves, largely because of their addictive ingredients like alcohol and opiates, rather than any legitimate health benefits. Unscrupulous businessmen were making millions of dollars in profits from these mixtures. W.K. Buckley, being a trained pharmacist, wanted to create something different, a reliable and effective cough medicine based on sound pharmaceutical principles. He devised a mixture of ammonium carbonate, menthol, and pine needle oil, among other things. He blended it all in a butter churn before bottling. The cough syrup, called Buckley's mixture, sold 2,000 bottles in its first year. By March of 1920, he established W.K. Buckley Limited and soon opened a manufacturing facility. The medicine really did work. In fact, the unique blend of herbal ingredients hasn't changed for over 100 years. Now, there is some controversy about the mixture. Many claim that it was a Burns family recipe that brother Donald Buckley obtained when he bought the Burns & Son Pharmacy. If the Burns family did create the mixture, WK would have been exposed to the recipe while working there, but I've not seen any evidence to support that claim. Buckley was a born salesman and began advertising Buckley's mixture in print and on the radio. Considering this was an era when advertising was relatively new and poorly understood, WK was ahead of his time. The taste was never mentioned, but Buckley admitted that it was brisk. The only hint to potential users that taking a spoonful of Buckley's mixtures was not pleasurable was a suggestion to add an equal amount of honey before downing it. Buckley continued to run his personal pharmacy and test lab until 1935. More products were added, including Buckley's White Rub, Buckley's Nasine nasal drops, and Buckley's cinemated capsules. When the Great Depression hit, many of the secondary products were discontinued, and W.K. Buckley Limited went back to what it did best, cough and cold preparations. To help consumers through the lean Depression years, a smaller size of Buckley's original mixture was produced with a manageable 40-cent price. The company was having huge success in Canada and was the country's most trusted cough and cold medicine. So Buckley decided to expand his horizons by taking Buckley's original mixture to the global market. Buckley's was introduced in the United States and the Caribbean in the late 1930s, and in New Zealand, Australia, and Holland by the 1940s. W.K.'s adopted son Frank joined the family business after returning from World War II, where he served as a carrier-based fighter pilot with the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm. In the Buckley's company, Frank began his career working as a traveling salesman. After 3 years of door-to-door sales, he joined his father in a management position. Frank earned a Bachelor's of Commerce Finance degree from the University of Toronto in 1942. He had a natural interest in finance, administration, and broadcast media. Father and son made a formidable team with Frank's financial skills and W.K.'s entrepreneurial energy. And Frank also applied modern financial concepts and practices to the running of the business. By the 1960s, the pharmaceutical industry was rapidly changing. Pharmacies began to transition from small individually owned drugstores to drug supermarkets. Buckley's groundbreaking advertising campaigns that had made the company so successful and unique were now being copied by the competition. The company no longer held the competitive edge, and sales began a long, slow slide. William Knapp Buckley remained in charge of the company until his death in January of 1978. He was succeeded by his son Frank as president. Frank, in the meantime, had also been an early executive of Global Television and sat as chairman of the Metro Toronto Planning Board during the early 1970s, besides working with his family business. With the continuing decline in sales, Frank knew that something needed to be done. In 1986, Canadian ad writer Peter Byrne pitched a radical advertising idea to Frank Buckley. After much discussion, it was agreed that Buckley's original mixture possessed two very strong characteristics: lousy taste and tremendous efficacy. Peter wanted to base an entire campaign around how bad Buckley's cough syrup tasted. Now, Frank knew his product tasted bad, but he had certainly never advertised that fact. That was something that had been, let's say, a surprise to new customers. At this time, Buckley's was 9th or 10th in the cough suppressant category, basically the bottom of the pile. They needed a new bold advertising idea. Frank Buckley approved the radical idea, and a new slogan, "It tastes awful and it works," was born. Peter started writing amusingly honest ads that focused on the negative. He convinced the charming 65-year-old Frank to appear in the ads as the spokesperson. Frank had a warm, genuine personality that would connect with people.
Hi, I'm Frank Buckley, and this is Buckley's Mixture. My father came up with it back in 1919, just about the same time my folks came up with me. Back then, people expected medicine to taste like, well, medicine. So to be real honest, it tastes real bad. But if you do have a nasty, hacking cough, and you don't have time to pamper it, try Buckley's. Just remember two things: it tastes awful, and it works.
In addition to that original ad, more negative ads were added. People swear by it, and add it. I'm dedicated to ensuring every new batch of Buckley's tastes as bad as the last. The bad news is Buckley's tastes bad. The good news is you won't have to take it for long. I came by my bad taste honestly. I inherited it from my father. I wake up with nightmares that someone gives me a taste of my own medicine. Yet another ad showed people making painful faces as they swallowed a spoonful of Buckley's. This bold and honest strategy rocketed Buckley's to becoming the #1 selling cough syrup in Canada by 1992. The ads were so successful that Buckley's maintained the #1 position by only spending $500,000 in 1996, while rivals Benylin and Robitussin each spent close to $2 million on advertising. They also successfully implemented this campaign in the Caribbean, Australia, New Zealand, and the US. It was an award-winning advertising campaign that made Buckley's original mixture and Frank Buckley household names in Canada. Buckley's remained a family-run business for 82 years with about 30 employees, manufacturing and selling its products around the world. It billed itself as the last privately held company in Canada selling cough and cold remedies. Ownership of WK Buckley Limited was purchased by Swiss-based pharmaceutical giant Novartis. We are delighted and proud to have been chosen by Frank Buckley to carry on the Buckley's tradition, Novartis Consumer Health Canada President Stan Thompson said. Novartis feels there is a great opportunity to grow this trusted brand. Frank Buckley passed away at age 95 in 2016. He always showed a keen interest in the pharmaceutical industry and served as president of the Proprietary Association of Canada, now the Non-Prescription Drug Manufacturers Association of Canada. Today, the Buckley's products are still manufactured in Canada and sold only in Canada. The Buckley's original mixture ingredients remain the same, and you take a step back into history when you're hit with that menthol and pine flavor. You feel your eyes water and the tingle in your throat and ears, the same feeling people experienced over 100 years ago. When asked why the company never abandoned the flavoring that can kindly be called as an acquired taste, Frank Buckley replied, "If we do it, we'll just be another Me Too cough medicine." Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, there are a few things you can do to support our channel. Give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and leave a comment. Please consider giving us a super thanks on YouTube or buy us a coffee so we can continue bringing you interesting content. Let us know if there's a Canadian story you'd like us to cover in a future episode. For more videos about Canada, please subscribe and ring the bell icon to be notified of our next video upload.